Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting live from inside Renaissance Bank on Main Street in beautiful Alpharetta. If you are looking for the best bank in Georgia, that's not my opinion. That's what a recent survey on money.com says. Renaissance Bank is your bank. Go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and give them a call. They've got 200 around the Southeast ready to serve you. And what you'll find is someone that actually wants to meet with you personally. I imagine that. I mean, it's not a big bank experience by any means, but Renaissance is big enough to handle pretty much any need that your small business can throw at them. So check them out, Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Billy Potter. Billy is the newly named CEO at Snellings Walters. Billy, welcome.
John, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Congratulations on your new role. But you've been at Snellings Walters for a while. Why don't you give an introduction to your firm and to you?
Yeah, so my name is Billy Potter. I am the CEO of Snellings Walters Insurance Agency. We're a 70-year-old firm, actually, this year, 70 years.
Wow.
And
congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. It's one to marvel at, honestly. Mm-hmm. And let's see, I started there December 1st, 2011, so just going on 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm real excited to be here, looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about our organization for you and for your audience to know more about us.
Absolutely. Let's talk about you first, and then we'll get to Snellings Walters. So why did you join Snellings Walters? And talk about your journey. You were the chief sales officer before you became CEO. That's an interesting place to jump as from sales into the CEO role for an insurance agency.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it started with a mutual friend of ours, Ralph Pasquarello.
I know that guy.
Yeah. And
great guy.
He's a top 10 person in my life. He simply made a suggestion. He had started working there in, I want to say May of 2011, and he knew that I was looking to leave. Mm-hmm. And I had a great career for a little over a decade working for an insurance company, and just kind of came to a very crucial spot in my life. Dan Sullivan would call it a ceiling of complexity, where I'd been married now for about 4 or 5 years, and we were having kids, and I wanted to work a little bit smarter, not harder. And I was lacking fulfillment in my work. So Ralph suggested I entertain Snellings Walters, and I said, thank you, but no thank you, candidly, because I knew the firm. And I thought very highly of the Snellings, but I didn't necessarily believe that that's what I was looking for in my next journey. And I'll tell you, there's a lot. So Ralph doubled down, being the stubborn guy that he was. He doubled down and really suggested I speak with them. And fast forward to my last interview with them, just about how different they were. You know, believe it or not, I interviewed with about 16 firms in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one of the last things shared with me was we focused on a lot of my character defects. And they said, how are you feeling with the interview process? And I said, I'm a little depressed. And they asked, why is that? And I said, every time I'm here, you talk about my flaws.
Right.
And I'll tell you, they said, would you like to know why? I said, I'd love to. They said, if you can be this successful with your character defects, we'd really like to know who you can become without them. And I'll tell you what, it rocked my world. The investment they wanted to make into their people was abundantly clear to me, especially with the contrast I had of 16 other firms that I was talking to out there. It was a very black and white decision that what I was searching for, they were more concerned about my development rather than what I could provide for the firm.
In sales or production, whatever.
That's exactly right. In fact, all I had to offer them was debt. I had no book of business. I had
Yeah.
no clients to bring with me.
Yeah.
So they were sticking their neck out, taking a risk on me.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I guess you were talking mostly to insurance agencies, I assume, other insurance agencies. So what, beyond, just, I guess, that interest in your personal development, what was it about Snellings Walters that stood out for you?
Yeah, it's very clear. They casted a really beautiful vision about who they wanted to be when they grew up. And, at this point, they were a 60-year-old firm. And they had all these different concepts and ideas and strategies they want to implement. And I'm a skeptic, John. So I honestly didn't believe any of them. I thought, you know what, if they deliver on 20% of what they're describing, this will be a fun ride. So that's really what spoke to me. I was also interviewing with a really large agency called Alliant. I was actually playing golf with the CFO. And he asked me, where are you at? His counterpart had said, you're kind of between us and a small family-owned opportunity. And I was like, yeah, really different opportunities. You guys insure Macy's and then they don't really have much of a benefits practice, which is what I'd be going to start. And what he said next really had a big impact on me. He said, I remember when Alliant was a family-owned regional firm in California. And I thought, oh my goodness, I think I'm figuring out what I want to be a part of. I want to build something as much as I want to go be employed somewhere.
Right.
And that's what Snellings Walters wanted to do. They had made some really big changes to their 60-year history, even in ownership. I mean, it had just transpired that my business partner, Clay Snellings, and his brother, Bill, had decided to dissolve the family exclusivity. So they're bringing outside talent in now to become owners within the business. And it's just, it lit a fuse and ignited something beautiful. And we're just a part of that ride right now. That domino chain started in 2007, and we're benefiting from their decisions today.
Now, that's quite a story right there for a lot of family businesses, is making that change toward allowing outside ownership. And the history books are full of disasters on that, both from the outsiders coming in and the insiders that didn't handle that well. Talk about what's made that so successful at Snellings Walters.
So first things first, John Snellings, our founder, founded the business in 1952, and we lost him in 2018. Forgive me for not knowing exactly, but I believe he was 93 years old.
Wow.
And there was a poem read by the individual who celebrated his funeral called The Bridge Builder. Have you ever read that poem?
I'm not sure if I have.
It's beautiful.
Say more.
It talks about the obligations we have to build the bridge for the leaders for tomorrow to cross. And that's what John did. And he first and foremost did it for his children. And Bill Snellings and Clay Snellings. Bill was actually my T-ball coach growing up. I grew up with his son, Tyler. And you can't think or talk about Bill and Clay Snellings without thinking about integrity. That's who they are. And they took a very selfless approach in 2007. Rather than privately owning 100% of something smaller, they prioritized the business. And they said, what do we need to grow? And they identified some real talent outside of their family walls to bring on board. And with that talent, a lot of new ideas have come. And we implemented a system called EOS in 2012. And it has more than quadrupled our business since then.
Let's describe what EOS is for those that don't know it.
The Entrepreneurial Operating System was authored by a gentleman by the name of Gino Wickman. And it's basically a language for our entire company to speak. And it helps us create an environment that we believe will attract top talent. I like to look at it as it does two fundamental things. It puts boundaries on leaders so that you don't get in the way of your own business. And then two, it protects your highly engaged employees. And it's hands down, I believe, the smartest thing we've done since I've been affiliated with Snellings Walters. And what it does, it helps you expose who you want to be. You define it. And we really doubled down on the culture. And I really feel that that's an overused word oftentimes. Mm-hmm. When I say culture in our company, it's a measurement. We measure it quarterly. And we hire and fire according to core values within our company. So there are 4. And this is all birthed from EOS. And even the process to develop the core values is fascinating.
Oh, wow.
So our 4 core values are engaged, authentic, accountable, and curious. And, we practice these principles daily within our office. But that kind of stuff, the thought leader of all these projects, nobody said, here's what we need to do. We went and we explored.
Right.
And what's amazing about our organization is that the integrity that Bill and Clay brought to the organization has now, it's caught like wildfire with the cultural alignment of the leaders that we've employed and where it's taken us. Mm-hmm. So, there's a handful of tools that we've implemented today to make sure that we're providing an environment where people want to grow.
Wow. Billy Potter, folks, CEO of Snellings Walters. So I guess I'm interested in now the change that has occurred over the last 10 plus years since you've been at the firm. Now that you're behind the curtain and now in charge of the show, shall we say, what do you see that in terms of the company's development that maybe you didn't see at the time that's been a pleasant surprise? Because you saw a lot of great things, I guess is the point. But there's always a surprise or two maybe for us in life that, even if we're expecting great things, right?
Yep. John, I would say clearly, and they didn't know any better, but they undersold how wonderful it was going to be. I'm crazier about the business today than I ever was when I started. And, even in the times where, my wife and I were young in our marriage and we were raising kids, and there's a lot of challenging times that come with that. Especially when you're building a book of business in your career, you have some low moments. And I was so lifted up by where I worked and why I worked there. They were shaping me into the man I felt like I always needed to become. They didn't promise me any of that. None of that was promised. In fact, like I said earlier, I didn't believe but 20% of what they were saying. And not only have they delivered on the environment they aimed to provide, they've knocked it out of the park. It's I run to work every Sunday night. I can't wait to get back in the office because I see the impact it's had on my marriage, on raising my children. We spend most of our time at work, and to be able to be paid to become the man that I want to be in my personal life, that's a real gift. And that's the obligation we have to pay forward to the people that work at Snellings Walters, making sure that they have every opportunity to see who they can become without their character defects.
Wow. So let's talk about the insurance agency environment generally. I want to get back to the culture here in a second, but talk about, the quest for talent, how you attract employees into an insurance agency when maybe some employees might think, oh, that's too dull for me, or whatever preconceptions they've got, whatever they are, and looking for the talent that goes beyond the resume.
Yeah, I don't want to convince. That's the first rule. Having to convince somebody of who you are means that they don't see who you are. So we want more attraction rather than promotion. And, I just listened to the CEO of Sherm communicate that the new norm now is 35% turnover annually with our workforce.
Wow.
Which blows my mind.
Yeah.
But basically we're wanting to attract somebody. Chick-fil-A conducted a study of the most engaged people in the world. They interviewed all these national are all these worldwide employers, and they took the most engaged employees at each one of these employers, and they identified 3 components to top talent. And this is what we're looking for. We want people who want a better boss, a brighter future, or a bigger vision. All 3 of those things. It's not necessarily money. Truett Cathy said it best. If you make people better, bigger is inevitable. And sometimes I feel that we put the cart before the horse because we want to make XYZ, or we want to do XYZ. In fact, you can hear commencement seats, go do what you love. And I don't think that matters as much as who you do it with. And that's what we want to create. We want to create an environment where no matter what we're doing, we want to do it with these people. If we want to go into basket weaving tomorrow, that's the environment I want to basket weave.
Even if basket weaving wasn't originally in your plan.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
So what you're saying is that life and business is more about relational values than it is the function or what you're selling or what you're producing.
Yep. Nothing sells like sincerity. And I think that if I go through a drive-through at Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's, I'll see a stark contrast. I don't think it's because of the quality of the food. I think that they're there intrinsically for a bigger reason. And why can't that be insurance? Why can't insurance have a culture that has an environment that's magnetic, that a spouse says, I'm so thankful that you work there?
Wow. Folks, we're here chatting with Billy Potter. Billy is the CEO of Snellings Walters. So let's talk about the values-based culture. So I see that term a lot. And, sometimes I think it's a term that people use as a necessity, right? So talk about what that means for Snellings Walters and how you really live that out and how you make that more than just a check of a box.
Yeah. And again, I give credit to Gino Wickman with his template of how we identified the core values. It was a fun experience. We took the leaders of our company, we locked the door, and we hashed it out for a whole day on what our core values are. And what they do is they say, John, identify, 2 people in your life that you could take over the world with. Maybe you work with them, maybe you don't. And then what are the adjectives that you would describe those 2 individuals? And so that's what we did. And then we grouped all of our adjectives. And with the heroes we identified and the adjectives we grouped, we came out with 4 core values. Engage, and there's a phrase that follows each one of them just to give people an indication of what they stand for. Engaged, it's more than me. Authentic, your true self. Accountable, own your part. And then curious, seek to understand. And I really feel that there's so much that's troubling the world that can be addressed by these core values. Seek to understand. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How many times are we speaking not to listen to what the person that we're talking to has to say, but we're thinking about how we want to respond.
Sure.
Own your part. Accountable. Gosh, that could be my most gratifying core value. Insurance is not a tangible thing. Nobody can touch it. It's not like you ever walk away being like, man, I bought the best insurance today.
It's kind of like buying tires for the car, right?
That's right.
Nobody looks at the tires and say, wow, Billy, great tires.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so, what you do hope is, I think a lot of people, they tout service, and sometimes it's pared down to just having a speedy response. But we want more than that. When you're engaging with one of our consultants or one of our client managers, we want them to own their part, because every piece of paper they touch is tied back to a person eventually. Every piece of paper. And, what we want them to understand is we want them to experience a truthful engagement. That's what we've coined the term, truthful engagement, meaning that we are going to say what needs to be said in order to help you identify or resolve your issue in a loving way, of course.
Sure.
But I think a lot of the times that's tiptoed around, and that's not satisfying. I've spoken to a lot of people before in the past where you get a lip service sometimes in the insurance industry. And we're not trying to push a product here. We're trying to identify an issue and resolve it. That's what we're best in class in. And then within our organization, these core values, they help us to, create with consistency better outcomes for the families that we serve or the businesses we serve.
You said something there that makes me think about the fact that sometimes insurance can be a little transactional in the sense that, you talk to your insurance representative, your trusted advisor, around renewal time, and that's about it. And how have you, I guess, transferred, or your business more into an advisory where your customers are looking to you for, year round, all weather, advice and counsel?
Yeah, I'll say it takes a lot of practice. And we practice it a lot. We have one of our 3 uniques in our company is growth is personal. And if the growth you're experiencing isn't personal, then it's not growth. And so when you think about that, when you think about maybe the lip service or pushing a product, a lot of times that means that you're not asking a lot of questions. And if you're not asking a lot of questions in your prospect engagement, there's a chance you're not asking a lot of questions in your marriage. And that's where we really help people kind of identify a consistency in the issues of owning their own part. And the more you massage that, the more you develop that engagement, the more thorough of a process you uncover with your prospect, so they can really find out what the root cause is of what they're trying to solve. And I'll tell you, it doesn't always come off smoothly, John. I've personally been asked to leave more prospect meetings than I can count. You're committed to a process of discovery, and sometimes they just want a quick fix.
Right.
And
they don't want all those questions.
That's right.
Right.
And then I would say that maybe we're not the right fit for you, because in the end, you could be frustrated with us, and we could be frustrated with you. We tend to like to go a little bit deeper in our engagement and want to have to not touch it twice. And I think many of the issues, John, come up from not identifying the right issue the first time. The solve really presents itself if you've identified the right issue. So we ask a lot of questions. We celebrate prospects that don't align. We say, congratulations, you figured that out. Well done. And we're cordial and respectful about it. But we have a saying that not all prospect aligns today. I think all prospects are potential prospects for what we have, but I could go into McDonald's tomorrow and ask for a cheeseburger medium rare. I'm going to be disappointed, won't I?
Probably.
It doesn't mean that they don't know how to serve cheeseburgers. It just means that if I want a medium rare cheeseburger, I better not go to McDonald's.
Or something that looks like a cheeseburger, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
So let's. I'm curious about that, because what you're pointing to is the importance of questions, and then the importance of those that are willing to engage the questions. So how do you, I guess, get clients to understand the importance of that process?
Yeah. Well, we try and help them find their part in the problem. Let's say that their agent's name's John Ray, and they want to fire him. Well, one of the things we want to know is, does John know that you want to fire him? And that's usually they don't receive that question well. Sometimes.
I'll bet, yeah.
And we do that for 2 reasons. A, do unto others as you would have done unto you. I'm going to disappoint you at some point. I promise. Will I know that I'm disappointing you? Because that's where trust is established. Are you going to put me in a position to win so that I can shape my behavior and we can revisit our expectations or our agreements? And then secondly, sometimes the prospect thinks that they're clearly communicating, but communication's tough. And so we like to ask that question about what their communications have been with their current agent to see their part. And I'll tell you, a lot of the times they come back and say, you know what? I do think I could clearly communicate it better to our current agent. And we encourage them to do that. Everybody wins if that happens. Sure. It's not about a transaction. It's about making sure that we're onboarding clients that are open to being accountable and ultimately open to being led. That's what we want.
So let's turn that same lens inward in terms of how you work with each other internally, employees, at Snellings Walters, how asking the right questions.
Yeah, it's awkward. And we are more raw in our office, obviously, because we're a family, than we are externally. Mm-hmm. But if you don't practice it as a community, it'll never translate to the outside world. Mm. And so we have we do a lot of role plays internally. That sounds cheesy. I've really come to find that they're so valuable to walk through the conversation so that you can be prepared when meeting with a client or a prospect or an insured who has a circumstance that's very heavy. Yeah. And a lot of times we realize that nobody's really trained us. What do I need to do here? And we have systems that we follow, hey, this is an opportunity to be empathetic.
Right.
This is an opportunity to be challenging. Don't assume that you understand the issue. Listen to the language they're using. What are they saying? What are they not saying? Where's the elephant in the room? We train on what's the curveball. What's going to be a part of the conversation that is really you're not prepared for. So we do a lot of repetition like that. And I'll tell you, our why statement in our organization is we lead to inspire others so that we lead to inspire confidence so that your potential is unleashed. And I think a lot of that interaction internally helps people become more confident. When you know what you need to do and why, you can do it with a level of tenacity that you wouldn't be able to do if you're unprepared. And our clients deserve that.
Wow. Billy Potter, folks, CEO of Snellings Walters. So, Billy, as we wind down here and end the show and let you get back to doing the great work you're doing, talk about, I guess, the future. I mean, what do you see over the next few years for Snellings Walters and your growth, and both internally and externally, maybe?
Yeah. So when I got to the firm, I want to say we were about a $4 to $5 million revenue firm. And that was 2012. Our goal was to be, so at 60 years old, we're about $4.5 million. Our goal is to be a $30 million agency by the end of 2025.
Wow.
So we have some very steep goals, but I really think they're easily achieved by the team we employ. And we don't want to have that success without the growth is personal component. That's the reason we want to remain privately held. We want people to have the opportunity to be shaped and developed when they come to work, personally and professionally. So we're going to double down on that. Our goal is to have 100 employees that are the right people in the right seats by the end of 2025. And really electrifying growth. There's a downside to it. It's tiring.
Yeah.
Growth is hard.
Right.
But staying complacent is hard too. And that comes with its own set of challenges.
If you have to choose between one or the other, it's not hard to choose, right?
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's an invigorating environment to work in, and it's humbling and gratifying. And we're doing a lot of fun stuff like helping people identify their one word for the year so they can focus on it with their families. And it's all for a better product, a better service, a better experience, better outcomes.
Okay, I have to ask you, and I've got to put you on the spot. What's your one word for the year? What's yours?
Yeah. So I have 4 young children.
Okay.
And
sleep.
Yeah, I know. That's right. Yeah. Actually, my 6-year-old's word was eat.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not lost on me that I saw my kids playing one day, and as kids do, they were arguing about being copycats. And it dawned on me that I have the ability, my influence of my children now are the times where they're going to model my behavior, 12 to 6 years old. And I need to be present to my actions matter. So copycat is my word. Am I doing things today that my children or my coworkers would be proud to see me do? I'll tell you that one word, that book, one word, that will make a big impact on your life has had a tremendous impact, not only on my life, but on our firm's life, for the last 5 or 6 years. It's profound. We just had a book study in our office, and to hear the words that some people are choosing, you get goosebumps.
Wow.
They're going deep on things in their lives that they wish they could improve or they wish were better. So copycat's mine. I got 4 little ones looking at me at all times. Sometimes they're looking. I don't even realize they're looking.
Oh yeah. They're looking. All right. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. What a great conversation. Billy Potter, thank you so much for coming in. But before we let you go, for those that would like to be in touch, would like to know more about Snellings Walters, number one, but to be in touch and learn more in general, let's direct them on where to go.
Yeah, so that's Snellings Walters Insurance Agency. We've been here in Atlanta, Georgia since inception. You can go to www.snellingswalters.com. That is our website. That's probably the best way to reach us. And then we have a live person that answers the phones every day. That's one thing that's core to our company's history.
There you go.
That number is 770-396-9600.
Billy Potter, folks, CEO of Snellings Walters. Billy, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on.
John, it was a real pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder. We were talking about team building. So if you've got a different place that you want to go with your team and do something that's fun and kind of out of the box for a team building exercise, A&S Culinary Concepts is an idea. So Chief Executive Chef over there, I think I got that right. He's the best cook in the place, okay? Andrew Traub, he's terrific. And we've done a lot of work with him, and Andrew and his team do fantastic work. They have Big Green Egg boot camps, of course, corporate team building, corporate catering, and they're right on Jonesbridge Road in Johns Creek. You can reach Andrew at 678-336-9196 and tell him what you've got in mind, and he can tell you craft an event that would be great for you and your team. If you'd like to just know more, go to asculinaryconcepts.com. And just a quick reminder, North Fulton Business Radio, we're coming up on our 6th year anniversary. So we're in 440 shows, something like that. So we're excited about celebrating that here coming up in May 2022. But if you have not subscribed to the show or you're not familiar with us, and this is your first shot at listening to us, we'd love it if you would subscribe and share the show. That's how we build our audience, and it's not about me or Business RadioX. It's about our great guests like Billy and his firm and the other guests that we've had on the show that do great work, and we are here to help them be found and celebrated. So if you could help us in that regard, we'd appreciate it. So for my guest, Billy Potter, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.